but what is something that you can kind of confess, maybe like a mistake or adversity you went through that, you know, many people don't know, but like it kind of helped you become a better CEO?
100%. I would say, you know, in order to be a good CEO, you have to be a good COO, CFO, CMO. You have to be able to do all of those things before you can be a good CEO, because how are you going to manage, coach, teach, mentor a CMO or CFO or a COO if you don't know how to do those positions yourself.
Right.
So I would say the first thing that I learned when I was opening my first business at 23 years old is that I realized I did not know how to be all those things. I didn't understand marketing. I didn't understand all of the details of operations. I didn't understand financials at all. When we first opened Beto's, we were not successful. I mean, we were losing money our first almost 6 months going into it. Talking about, you know, restaurant that was full of people, but not, you know, making money. And so we had to learn all those things. I had to learn how to make sure that, you know, when we're full, we're capturing dollars, and those dollars are staying in the restaurant and not going out the door to our vendors, to labor, to all those other things, right? So I would say, you know, the biggest, you know, thing that I learned was that you have to understand all those positions. Thankfully, I met my wife, you know, when we were opening this, and she was a huge marketing person working for Diageo, massive, you know, company, Glazers. And, you know, she taught me a lot of the marketing aspects, you know. So I got lucky that I met her, and she taught me. Because I remember telling her my marketing plan, and she was like, "You're doing this all wrong." And she flat out told me, "You're doing this all wrong. Like, first of all, you're not thinking big enough. You're not dreaming big enough. Second of all, this is not the way you go about doing this." And I was willing to learn. I literally, people would normally think I was crazy, but I literally said, "Hey, here's the password to my social media. Here you go, take it over." When we first met, and she is basically taking it to the moon.
That's awesome.
So I would say, you know, my advice to those wanting to be a CEO or any kind of C-level position is that you got to learn to do it all, you know, and once you have the ability, then you find the right people, because you can't do it all. You have to learn it all, but you can't do it all.
Right.
So, you know, that kind of is one thing that I guess my advice would be.
Gotcha. If you don't mind sharing it, that 6 month mark, what did y'all do to switch that over?
Yeah, I think it was a couple things. I think we learned the revenue that we needed to be successful. And it was interesting because it was actually lower than we expected. And what was interesting too was that it wasn't just that revenue piece. It was, you know, what does the staffing look like? You know, when you build out a schedule, a lot of people don't realize that it's a math equation. Right. It's not a matter of like, oh man, these are the bodies I need. This is this is that. It's like, no, it's like, with the amount of sales we're doing, you know, what is the labor piece? You know, it's algebra, it's solving for X. And that's what basically scheduling was. Thankfully, I loved algebra growing up. It was math for me was like, it made sense. So, you know, it was a scheduling piece. It was also, you know, one of the things that my dad taught me was, you know, the ordering component of like, you know, how much food do we have on hand, and like over ordering and over prepping. Like, just because you're prepping and have a lot of food in your walk-in doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to, you know, sell it all. And that means like, hey, if you've got money in the walk-in, you know, but that money expires at a certain date. Like, do you want to fill it, you know, with money if it's going to expire, or do you want to have enough to make sure that, you know, you're sending it out the door to the right people, as opposed to it just expiring on the shelf. So it was all of those components. It was learning, you know, the hard way, learning from the aspect of the P&L comes and it doesn't look good. And realizing I have to pivot. And it's not just like I have to pivot next week, next month. It's like, no, I got to pivot today. I have to learn to do all of these things right now. Because if I don't, this business doesn't last very long.